Hey everybody, Motorpoet 59 here. The midterms are rapidly approaching, and when elections get close, such as these midterms or whether the generals, it really doesn't matter. The talk tends to turn to candidates, towards the human end of politics, and what doesn't get talked about a lot are bills, propositions, and measures. Bills can be federal, and which bills become acts, and or at the state level. Propositions are generally either statewide or regional, and then you generally have local measures. And you really don't hear a lot about the measures and propositions and bills unless it's something like Obamacare or some big deal like that we actually get a say in. But when you go on, even on the news or YouTube or Facebook, other social media platforms, you still don't hear a lot about these measures, and that's kind of disturbing, because people need to know about these. They need to know what these are about, and a lot of times they just kind of, I know people who end up not voting at all on them because they don't know what they're about. You need to take the time to read these. I've gotten to where I do a deal on this channel every time the elections come around about measures and some stuff about candidates, but I want people to be informed, especially liberals, because a lot of these are things that they're never going to research themselves, and unfortunately a lot of conservatives are like that too. But anyway, getting off track here a little bit. One of the things that has been coming around lately in commercials, if you watch TV that has commercials, I generally don't, but every once in a while I catch a commercial, even if it's muted. And one that I've seen recently was this lady, Patricia Tonelli. She is a dialysis patient, and this Proposition 29 is a statewide proposition involving the dialysis industry. And the dialysis industry is vital to the survival of people who have severe kidney problems. And as with all bills and all propositions and measures, I always tell people, if the text of it becomes confusing and vague, which many of them are, go down to the bottom, and it's not in this is just a flyer I got in the mail, it's not in here. But when you get the literature on these bills, go to the bottom, go to the very end, and see who supports it. And in the case of Prop 29, it's the SEIU, Service Employees International Union. That's right, the good old SEIU, who have caused more problems in the last 10 years, maybe longer than that. They are just a piece of junk union that has cost the taxpayers of America in general, in California in particular, billions of dollars in wasted money. Unions, in my opinion, you all know how I feel about them, have outlived their usefulness, and the SEIU is a supporter of this bill, and this is the third time that they have gotten behind proposals for similar propositions. And what they're trying to do, or at least what they want you to think they're trying to do, is make sure that there is an MD on staff at every dialysis clinic. That's ridiculous. It's completely unnecessary. And I have a daughter who worked at a dialysis clinic, and I have a couple of other friends who are involved in that industry. And it's completely unnecessary. If something were to happen to a dialysis patient, whether it was because of the dialysis or if they started having a heart attack or something, what's an MD going to do? He's going to say, wow, there's something wrong with that person. They're going to call 911. They're going to get that person to somewhere where they can actually get some help. An MD is going to do absolutely no good. But that is not why the SEIU is pursuing this legislation. What they are pushing here is unionizing the dialysis industry. That's all they're interested in. They don't care about patients. They don't care about whether anybody lives or dies. They just want more members. And I should say they want more membership. When I was the president of the Brotherhood of Railroad Signalmen, Local 104, back in the late 80s and early 90s, I found out what unions are really all about. And they're not about members anymore. They're about membership. That's all they care about. Everything else that falls underneath that, like members and contracts and stuff, is not relevant when they're pushing for things like this. Doing the whole doctor thing, that's how they're going to try to get their foot in the door. And they'll keep that door open and they'll keep wedging it further and further and further. And as these clinics don't want to do this, they'll have the shame on this clinic, people sitting outside. And I've seen that happen in a couple of places where I've approached those people and said, let me see your union card. I mean, very defensive because they don't have one. They're not the union. The union's paying these idiots to sit out here and hold these signs up. Most of them probably don't even know what the hell they're shaming people on. Proposition 29 is bad. It is, all it's going to do is cause problems with the industry. There are clinics who will not be able to remain open because they will not be able to pay doctors. And once you get a doctor in there, they're going to want a nurse and all these other people, and they're going to try to unionize, and the next thing you know, the cost of dialysis has skyrocketed. It will affect the way people's Medicare works, the way their Medi-Cal works. It will affect the way insurances pay for dialysis. It will affect the entire, everything surrounding dialysis will be affected by this in a very negative way. And there's absolutely no positives in this, none at all. It's like I said, you don't need an MD on staff at a dialysis clinic. He's not going to, what good's he going to do? You don't need to write prescriptions or anything like that. We don't need an MD at a dialysis clinic. This is about union thuggery. This is about leftist, socialist unions, because that's all unions are. They are a form of socialism where everybody gets treated equally. And what that really means is that the people who work their asses off and do a really good job don't get they don't get rewarded for that, and people who do crappy jobs and never figure out what they're doing are not punished for that. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But that is what Proposition 29 is aimed at: the unionization of dialysis clinics in California. Vote no on 29, and as I said, if you're curious about a bill, go see who supports it. That'll almost always tell you whether it's a good or a bad deal. If you're a person who supports unions, you'll probably think this is a great deal. But if you have a loved one or yourself who is on dialysis or may end up on dialysis, you'll know this is not a good idea. I am a type 2 diabetic. I'm in good shape. Everything's working fine on me, but that may not always be the case. Diabetes is tough on kidneys, and people, as we age, things just stop working correctly. You might have to take medications that cause your kidneys not to function properly, so you never know if you're going to be the next person on dialysis. So let's take care of the dialysis clinics and not the unions. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. I'll see you all later.